Please stand and unite in singing the Star Spangled Banner. Please be seated. Good morning and welcome to Buchanan Elks Lodge 1736 for our traditional yearly Flag Day ceremony. Members and guests, the purpose of this service is to honor our country's flag, to celebrate the anniversary of its birth, and to recall the achievements attained beneath its folds. It is quite appropriate that such a service should be held by the Order of the Elks, an organization that is distinctly American, intensely patriotic, and without counterpart. Esteemed leading knight, what are the fraternal aims of the Benevolent and Protective Order of Elks?
To inculcate the principles of charity, justice, brotherly love, and fidelity, to promote the welfare and happiness of mankind, to uphold our country and its laws, and to quicken the spirit of American patriotism.
Esteemed leading knight, what is the significance of the American flag?
It is emblematic of the crowning virtue, charity.
Esteemed loyal knight, what is the significance of the American flag?
It is emblematic of justice for all.
Esteemed lecturing knight, what is the significance of the American flag?
It is a symbol of brotherly love.
Lodge Esquire, what is the significance of the flag from the station of the exalted ruler?
It is the symbol of fidelity.
Charity, justice, brotherly love, and fidelity are the cardinal principles of our order, and they are exemplified in all of our services. By them we teach love of country and of our countrymen, and loyalty to our American way of life. To be an elk is to be an American citizen who lives for their country and is ready to die for it. Please stand. The chaplain will lead us in prayer.
Almighty God, in this hour of patriotic observance of the birthday of the American flag, we ask you to bless our flag and the people of these United States. For all that our flag represents, both at home and abroad, we thank thee. And that through all our history as a nation, it has been an ensign of freedom, liberty, and opportunity. And through the years to come, may this flag wave as the banner of liberty, freedom, and enlightenment. May this service bring to us, each of us, a sense of loyalty to our country and enable us to be better patriots, truer citizens, and more loyal Americans to thy glory and to the honor of this great nation. Amen.
Please be seated. That we may better understand the meaning of our flag, I will call upon our members to take care for the history of the flag. Held dry is an old as human race. The carrying of banners has been a custom among all peoples and all ages. These banners usually contain some concept of the life of government of those who fashioned it. The evolution of the American flag marks the progression of the government of the American people. From the founding of Jamestown in Virginia in 1607 until 1775, the flag of England was the flag of the peoples of America. In 1775, the pine tree flag was adopted for all colonial vessels, and this was the banner carried by the Continental forces in the Battle of Bunker Hill. The southern colonies from 1776 to 1777 used the snake flag. In the latter part of 1775, the Continental Congress appointed a committee to consider the question of a single flag for the 13 colonies. That committee recommended a design of 13 alternate stripes of red and white, and with an azure field in the upper corner bearing the red cross of St. George and the white cross of St. Andrew. John Paul Jones, the senior lieutenant of the flagship, Alfred, hoisted this flag to the masthead on December 3rd, 1775, and 1 month later, it was raised over the headquarters of General Washington in Cambridge, Massachusetts, in compliment, as he wrote, to the United Colonies. This flag, called the Continental Colors and the Grand Union, was never carried in the field by the Continental Land Forces, but it was used by the Navy as its elusive design, and was the first American flag to receive a salute of honor, a salute of 11 guns from the Fort of Orange in the Dutch West Indies. In response to a general demand for a banner more representative of our country, the Congress, on June 14, 1777, provided that the flag of the United States be 13 stripes of alternating red and white, and that the Union be 13 stars, white on a blue field representing a new constellation. It is generally believed that in May or June of 1776, a committee consisting of George Washington, Robert Morris, and George Ross commissioned Betsy Ross, a Philadelphia Quakeress, to make a flag from a rough design they left with her. It is said that she suggested that the stars should have 5 points rather than 6. This starry banner was first flown at Fort Stanwix, called Fort Schuyler at that time, near the city of Rome, New York, on August 3rd, 1777, and was under fire 3 days later at the Battle of Orskany on August 6, 1777, during a British and Indian attack. The first official salute to the Stars and Stripes was given on February 14, 1778, by France on the French coast, when the Ranger, under command of John Paul Jones, was saluted by the French fleet. This flag, then carried by the Ranger, was made by the young women of Portsmouth, New Hampshire, from stripes of their best colored silk dresses and the white wedding gown of a recent bride. It is said that this same Ranger's flag was flown by Jones's ship, the Bon Homme Richard, in its thrilling flight by moonlight upon the high seas with the British frigate Serapis. When the Serapis struck her colors, the immortal fame of John Paul Jones was ensured as the intrepid defender of the youthful republic. The original 13 stars and stripes represented the original 13 colonies. In 1795, 2 additional stars and stripes were added to represent admission to the Union of Vermont and Kentucky. Under this banner of 15 stars and stripes was fought the War of 1812. It was the site of its flying over Fort McHenry on September 14, 1814, that inspired Francis Scott Key to write what was to become our national anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner. Miss Margaret Young, who cut the stars of that particular banner, was the mother of Henry Sanderson, the Grand Exalted Ruler of the Order of Elpis in 1884. The Congress on April 14, 1818, adopted a resolution that on and after July 4, 1818, the number of stripes should be 13, and that the blue field should carry 1 star for each of the 20 states in the Union, and that a new star should be added for each state thereafter admitted. Since 1818, there has been no change to the flag design, except that 28 new stars were added before July 4th, 1912. And this flag of 48 stars flew over this nation for 47 years until just before the Vietnam War. On July 4th, 1959, a star was added for Alaska, our first non-connected state, and a year later, Hawaii. Our island was added for a 50th star. Our present flag, 50 stars and 13 stripes, It is accompanied by the POW-MIA flag to recognize the plight and demise of a special group of our armed services, those who were prisoners of war and still remain missing in action. Please stand and salute our flag. As this emblem is first in our hearts as loyal Americans, so is it our color as altar as loyal Elks. The gentle breezes with lingering caress kiss the folds of no flag no more, which can compare in its beauty. There is no such red in budding rose, in falling leaf, or sparkling wine. No such wine in April blossoms, in crescent moon, or mountain snow. No such blue in woman's eyes, in ocean's depth, or heaven's dome. And no such pageantry of clustering stars and streaming light in all the spectrum of the sea and sky. Please be seated. Our flag is at once a history, a declaration, and a prophecy. It represents the American nation as it was at its birth. It speaks for what it is today, and it holds the opportunity for the future to add other stars to the glorious constellation. The Benevolent Protective Order of Elks is the first and only fraternal body to require formal observance of Flag Day. In July of 1908, the Grand Lodge of this order in Dallas, Texas, then assembled, provided for their annual nationwide observance of Flag Day on the 14th of June in each year by making it mandatory upon each subordinate lodge of the order. This unique distinction, as the strongest promoter of Flag Day, is most becoming to the Order of the Elks. This order is distinctively American. Only American citizens are eligible to join it, and it has no foreign affiliations. It has linked its destiny with the destiny of our country and made this flag its symbol of self-dedication to God, to country, and to fellow men. Please stand and join in singing God Bless America. Please be seated. I will now call upon this time Elks member Rob Gifford to read a response on Flag Day.
The Stars and Stripes, flag of the United States of America. The worldwide hope of all who under God would be free to live and do His will. Upon its folds, written by the story of America, the epic of the mightiest and noblest in all history. In the days when peoples of the old world groveled in abject homage to the heresy of the divine right of kings, a new constellation appeared in the western skies. The stars and stripes symbolizing the divine right of all to life, liberty, happiness, and peace under endowment by their Creator. To what man or woman to given words adequate to tell the story of the building of this nation? That immoral story is written in blood, sweat, heroic deeds, unremitting toil, in clearing the primeval forests and in planting of vast prairies where once the coyote and the buffalo roamed. Onward swept the nation, spanning wide rivers, leaping vast mountain ranges, leaving in its paths and farms and villages, factories and cities, till at last this giant nation stood astride the continent from the Atlantic to the Pacific. This is the heritage of the people of the United States. It has been repurchased by each succeeding generation and must be re-won again, again, and again until the end of time, lest it too shall pass like the ancient empires of Greece and Rome. The price of liberty is eternal vigilance. What was won at Lexington and Concord, Bunker Hill, had to be repurchased at Ticonderoga in Yorktown. What John Paul Jones achieved upon the high seas in the War of Independence, it had to be repurchased by Commodore Perry on Lake Erie in the War of 1812. The prestige of Admiral Dewey's victory at Manila Bay in 1898 was re-won by the naval battles in the seas about the far distant islands of the Pacific after the sneak attacks upon Pearl Harbor and Manila in 1941 had summoned our country to assume its role in World War II. What our troops achieved under the Stars and Stripes at Chateau Thierry and Flanders in World War I. Their sons were required to repurchase in World War II and the bloody trek across northern Africa, on the beachheads of Europe, and in the Battle of the Bulge. The flag of our American men raised at Iwo Jima was the same flag later raised in the defense of Ichon, Pushan, Pork Chop Hill, and far-off Korea. Then another generation under the same flag bled to stem the threat of communism in far-off Vietnam. Our young people were again called to carry our flag in the defense of a free world in the actions of Grenada and Panama. Willingly, our brave men and women carried our flag in the honor of the American people into battle of Operation Desert Storm. And who among us will ever forget the sight of the firefighters raising our flag over the ruins of the World Trade Center, the military personnel draping our flag on the side of the Pentagon, or the citizens of Somerset County, Pennsylvania, placing our flag near the site where brave Americans died fighting the hijackers of flight number 93. No other symbol could ever have offered such comfort as we still today endure the horrors of that day. Today, American armed forces carry our flag in the villages of Iraq, the mountains of Afghanistan, the jungles of the Philippines, and wherever terrorism may reside. Their struggle against the sponsors of terrorism and the hardest battle yet, and this threat to our nation and to our way of life is certainly as great a challenge as our flag has ever seen. Now, the resurgence of patriotism since September 11, 2001 has rekindled respect for our flag. Today, we see the Star-Spangled Banner wherever we turn, on homes, businesses, automobiles, billboards. Such displays stimulate our love for our nation and for what it stands. They remind us of the sacrifices being made by the men and women of our armed forces around the world. And they are a tribute to the heroes of the police and fire departments the nation over. The greatest significance of this flag, however, lies in the influence it has in the hearts and minds of millions of people. It has waved over the unparalleled progress of a nation and developing democratic institutions, scientific and technological knowledge, education, and culture. It has served as a beacon for millions of people that oppress refugees abroad, and it stands as a promise that the underprivileged will not be forgotten. What is the meaning of the flag of the United States? There can never be a definitive answer to that question. There are people in this world who see it as a symbol of imperialism. Others see it as a destiny of the people. But reference to these and similar views of the flag was resolved by Woodrow Wilson when he said, "This flag, which we honor and under which we serve, is the emblem of our unity, our power, our thought, and shape of this nation. It has no other character than that which we give it from generation to generation. The choices are ours." Only love, true love of our fellow man, can create peace. The emblem and token of that love is the Stars and Stripes, the symbol of the American way of life. Our fathers, God to thee, author of liberty. To thee we sing, long may our land be bright. With freedom's holy night, protect us by thy might, great God, our King.
Lodge Esquire, how shall we further honor our flag?
The flag is formally honored by the Pledge of Allegiance. This pledge was written in 1892 by Francis Bellamy and published in the Youth's Companion as part of a patriotic campaign of that magazine. The pledge did not become part of the flag code until 1942, and in 1954 the phrase "under God" was added.
Let us all stand and pledge ourselves never to forget the principles represented by this flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. In conclusion of this observance of Flag Day, let us rededicate ourselves to the flag of the United States of America, and may the principles of justice, brotherly love, and fidelity ever increase in each of us. On behalf of the Buchanan Elks Lodge 1736, myself as Michael Levacy as the exalted ruler, I now declare this service closed.